Welcome to episode 18 of The Comic Source. I'm your host, Jace. In the news, Marvel and the family of Jack Kirby have finally come to an agreement in their long-running legal battle. Apparently, the settlement is amicable to both sides, but no details of what exactly that settlement is have been forthcoming yet. So we'll keep an eye on exactly what each side got in the coming weeks. I'm really excited about this comic I'm going to review in this episode. It's Rise of the Magi from Top Cow Productions. That's an Image Comics partner studio. And this book is actually written by one of the Image founders, Mark Silvestri. The art is handled by Sume Keskin. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that name right. The reason I'm so excited to review this comic is it's just so good. It's such a breath of fresh air. It really reminds me of a lot of the classic comics from the Bronze Age. That would be from the early 70s to about the mid-1980s, before The Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen came out and everything started to go grim and gritty. And then more recently in modern times with the whole trend of writing for the trade or having comics storytelling be really decompressed. In each issue, Silvestri packs a lot of story. There's a lot going on, and you really feel like you get your money's worth. It's not just a 5-minute read and you're done. So to give a little background on the story, so like I said, the title's called Rise of the Magi, and basically the premise is that what if everything you think is science, everything that you think is black and white and understood, really is all magic? We as humans seem to have this insatiable desire to break things down to their smallest components and figure out how things work. So basically the premise of the world Silvestri has created is that if you break things down small enough, if you get it down to the atomic level, why do things work? Well, we're not really sure. What Silvestri posits is that it's actually magic, and the people that are best suited to use magic are the people that try to understand it the least. The less you think about the magic you're actually trying to use, the easier it is to wield the magic. So there's kind of this reality that's sort of between places. Silvestri describes it as the space between two slices and a loaf of bread, or the space between the blinds hanging in your window. So it's kind of the place where nothing is, and yet he's created this world there, and it's called Rune. Now on Rune, there is an orb. It's about the size of a basketball, and it contains all the known magic in all universes. It's protected by a supposedly unbreakable spell, but at the beginning of the story, we see that after all, that spell is not quite so unbreakable as we've been led to believe. Now, Silvestri also mentions that this is all the magic that's left. There used to be another orb, and that orb was guarded by people who weren't quite up to the task of protecting it. And it exploded, and that was actually the Big Bang that started the universe that you and I live in. So as I mentioned, the spell that protects this orb has been broken, and the antagonist of the story has managed to chip off the tiniest little speck of magic from this orb and has apparently very dastardly ideas of what to do with this speck. However, the orb is guarded by the spell guard, of which the captain is Ray Stone. Now, Ray Stone and his fellow spell guards give their life so that this little speck of magic doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And because of the lack of anyone else to entrust this magic to, Ray gives it to his brother Asa Stone. Now, those that don't believe in magic cannot wield it. However, the citizens of the world Rune definitely believe in magic, and everyone that's there can wield magic, but they each have their own special talents and skills. So Ray's brother Asa is actually a carpet repairman. That's flying carpets. However, he's been thrust into the role of hero, and he's now undertaking this massive adventure to try to avenge his brother and do what's right. Asa's kind of always had his head in the clouds. He read comics. He longed for adventure, and I think the old cliche, be careful what you wish for, is definitely true. So Ray's handed off this speck of magic to his brother. His brother escapes through a portal created by a talisman. That's a talisman who gave his life so that Asa could escape from those intent on stealing this magic. He escapes to our world, where he runs into a con woman named April, and they flee from some of the minions and trolls that followed him through the portal. They manage to meet up with Robert Portman, who's the son of the talisman that sent Asa to our world. So he's kind of dragged back into the world that he escaped from, and come to find out there's been a lot of citizens of Rune that have escaped from their world into our world. A lot of them escaped for reasons of escaping punishment from things they did wrong. Unfortunately, as Asa was fleeing some minions that were sent to retrieve the magic, it was picked up by some ne'er-do-wells, and they've taken it to sort of a crime lord who turns out is another one of the refugees from Rune, and that's where issue 4 leaves off. Our three protagonists are about to confront this former criminal of Rune who possesses this magic spec, and I'm very anxious to see where the story goes from here. As I said, Silvestri's packed a lot into these first 4 issues. There was also a 0 issue that was given out on Free Comic Book Day, and in fact you can go to topcow.com and read that 0 issue for free. So if you're not sure if you'd like the series or you just want to get an idea of what it's all about, I highly recommend going and checking it out. I definitely would consider it classic fantasy story. There's tons and tons of action. And like I said, my favorite part about the story so far is just how much is packed into each issue. It really makes me feel nostalgic for the comics of my youth that didn't take 5 minutes to read, and there was really a lot of story in each issue. To talk a little bit about the art, as I said, it's done by Sume Kesgin, and it's really pretty spectacular. It's a little sketchy. The lines aren't super clean, very similar to Silvestri's art in that way, but she also has a little bit of a cartoony feel. Not quite an anime influence, but there are definitely times where she takes a little liberty with anatomy, sometimes to show emotion and expression. She draws the character's eyes very large. She has a good grasp of storytelling from panel to panel. Additionally, the way Silvestri's written the story is there's a lot of little fun things in there, like instead of a walnut, it's a callnut. So instead of a cell phone, Asa Stone will just take apart a walnut and hold the 2 pieces, one up to his ear, one up to his mouth, and that's how they make phone calls in the world of Rune. So there's a lot of little tidbits in there like that, a lot of fun and fanciful things. And Sume does a great job of illustrating these things. Another one of the real fun things in the book that she draws is the frog that Asa carries. This frog actually has 2 spells kind of bound to it, invisibility and true sight. And so in order for Asa to use these spells, he has to say invisibility and lick the frog, or say sight and lick the frog. So Kesgin does a great job illustrating this frog. Bloop is his name. And it's really fun that she gets to throw in these little cartoony details and have a little bit of fun in what might otherwise be seen as a very dark tale of death and gloom and doom. So again, Rise of the Magi from Top Cow Productions. Another book I can't recommend highly enough. Mark Silvestri is another one of the really, really good guys in comics, and he's known mostly for his art, and deservedly so. But as Top Cow president Matt Hawkins said at WonderCon this year, this is the best thing that Silvestri has ever written, maybe the one thing he was born to write, and I can totally see where Matt was coming from. This story is just so much fun, it's so intriguing, and it really feels like it's something. And by that, I mean it's not just another one of these modern comics that you're going to read in 10 minutes and forget about by the next day. I think it's really going to stand the test of time, and for me, it's an instant classic. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Join me next time with coverage from Long Beach Comic Con. I'll see you then.